everybody, Dwayne here again, back with another video about stroke recovery. Now if you've watched any of my videos, you'll see that I had one quite a while ago, actually a couple of years ago, about my garden, and we were talking about how plants grow and everything. Well, I just want to make another comparison here to growth and stroke recovery. Now, we planted this garden back in May, and we've already had lots of green beans, and we've actually even picked several of our peppers. But my point is now I want to come to the tomatoes. Now at the tomatoes, we planted these basically at the very beginning, sometime early in May. Now if you look at the tomatoes, you can see that we've got tomatoes here, but they're not red yet. They're there. They have bloomed, we've got the fruit, but they have not turned ripe yet. So I just want to kind of make that comparison about stroke recovery, because I've had several people mention lately that they think they've plateaued or they wonder if they'll ever recover any more. Well, sometimes we may see a tomato and say, well, is it ever going to turn red? So my point is this: you may have think that you've plateaued, but as long as you're making progress, keep going, because the neuroplasticity, the brain paths that have to regrow and everything take time to mature. In other words, they take time to ripen. So just keep this in mind. Just like the tomatoes are here, but they've been green for quite a while, and we've already picked the other fruit. So we'll get to pick these soon, but we just have to wait until they ripen. Well, stroke recovery can sometimes take years before you'll actually recover. So we planted this garden, and I've already gotten some of the fruit early on. So sometimes in our stroke we'll have recovery and we'll have progress early on. But just like it's going to take a while more for these tomatoes to turn ripe, it just takes longer. Well, the same thing sometimes with our stroke recovery. It may take longer for certain things to actually become ripe or become fully progressed. So stay with it. You may think you've plateaued. Now, I'm no scientist, you may have. But just because you think that you've stopped recovering and you stopped progressing, stay with it.
As a stroke survivor, you may have heard someone say, you've reached a plateau, or you're plateauing. A plateau is high flat land, so what does it have to do with your stroke recovery? Immediately after you have a stroke is when everything is at the very worst. You may be paralyzed, confused, and unable to speak. Each day you get better as your brain heals, recovering from the shock of the stroke. The progress in the first few weeks or months is often rapid, a steadily upward line on the recovery chart. As time goes on, the progress may begin to slow. That line of progress may flatten out. You may feel like you are stuck, and there is no more progress. Lots of stroke survivors keep improving, years after their stroke. While it's true that spontaneous recovery in the brain does slow down after a period of time post-stroke, the key word there is spontaneous. That means it happens without you even trying. If you are thinking each day is going to be better than the last, there will come a point when that stops being true. The truth is that there's nothing you can do about it. The brain can, and will continue to change, and improve if you work at it. Progress is absolutely possible years after stroke, with focused exercises toward specific goals. It's just not as easy as it was early on. You have to set a target, break it down into steps, and work on it repetitively. You can make progress. You have to maintain your hope and motivation, and you'll start to see change again.